And so the final has come and gone, and it was fine. Long stretches of boring play with moments of excitement sprinkled in there along the way. I didn't hate it, I just wished it would have been settled in regular time. But anyway, we will get to that, and you may have seen that World Cup content has begun releasing, starting with a series called Contenders. First one is Argentina, but we have plenty more coming, including some history meets football videos on countries like Haiti, Uzbekistan, and more. So guys, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss a video. A lot of people saying they don't actually get notified when my videos go live, and I think that's the only way to guarantee it. There's going to be including the Argentina video, 11 pre-tournament videos. So, let's review what happened in this match. Lineups. The exact same as the final from last season for PSG, except for, of course, swapping Safonov in for Donnarumma. But there was always going to be more question marks regarding Arsenal and their personnel, more so than PSG's. And the main focus being who would play in the fullback positions. The answer, or answers, were Mosquera on the right, Nkapie on the left. Trossard also started on the left flank, and Havertz ahead of Gyökeres, but I think those were more obvious answers for this game at least. Another question was how Arsenal would approach this match, many thinking they would be looking to sit back a bit, but they were pressing immediately in this game, even using a pretty familiar kickoff tactic, no? And it worked early on. They were forcing PSG to just work the ball around the back when they were in their own half, but Arsenal's press would step off pretty quickly, and Arsenal would become incredibly compact when they were in their own half, meaning PSG would have to be as inventive as ever with their combinations to find a way through, given every single player was back. You would often see Havertz as far back as Arsenal's own 18-yard box. Trossard blocked an attempted pass from Marquinhos, and it deflected in behind the Brazilian with nobody there but Kai Havertz. And I thought that he had taken the ball a touch too far. I think even Safonov maybe expected him to hit the ball a little bit earlier. That one where he took another touch, I think he thought he was going to hit it there, but his finish was perfect. Roofed it near side. Not much Safonov can do there, maybe besides cutting down the angle a little bit more, maybe. But again, you're expecting him to strike low across goal earlier, so it's hard to put any fault on the keeper. Now, PSG can be slow starters. They absolutely were against Arsenal last season, and Arsenal absolutely took advantage of it this time, because after that, as PSG settled, they started taking a little bit more control. No real close calls as far as chances go, but you could see them beginning to turn the screw a bit, and Arsenal found it difficult to get out of their own half for long periods of time. Weird moment with the Saka handball, really weird. I ultimately think it was fine to not give it, but it literally touched both hands. I think it grazed his boot first, maybe that's why it wasn't given, but PSG supporters were fuming due to the ball touching Trossard's arm before going to Havertz. That one absolutely wasn't a handball for me. Arm was across his body, not making his body bigger in any way. Ball was hit from so close. I get it, optics are weird if you are a PSG supporter. Now, someone who I think was really struggling to make any impact was Kvaratskhelia. When he was on the ball, he was trying silly back heels and flicks that weren't working at all, and he was crowded out when he would roam into the middle of the pitch where that box of four, Saliba, Gabriel, Rice, and Lewis Skelly, were picking off everything, getting important tackles and not putting a foot wrong. I gotta say though, in that first half, every time Dembele or Hakimi had the ball on the right flank, they were pretty obvious with what they were going to do. Cut inside, blocked, cut back for a cross, dealt with by Gabriel or Saliba. Way too obvious. So yes, Arsenal were really doing well to not let PSG really flow out there. Happy to play without the ball. The only real danger where PSG should have maybe converted was at, I think it was the 42nd minute, Nuno Mendes beating Mosquera but to the byline, putting the ball in space on the edge of the six in the middle, and no PSG player was there to meet it. Everyone looking for a full cutback towards the penalty spot or a chip to the far post. Now, while Havertz's additional touch was beneficial to get the opening goal, it wasn't in first half stoppage time, as a great passing move saw him in behind with Safonov at his mercy if he would have taken the strike in a reasonable amount of time, but he took that extra touch again, allowing Marquinhos to get the block in. And speaking of blocks, Saliba and Gabriel, unbelievable, won every single duel in the first half, and where I thought Kvara would be a problem, Mosquera took care of him easily, only ever getting beat by Nuno Mendes. Until But hey, overall, an incredibly disciplined half from Arsenal, and PSG barely lay a glove on them. More possession, but possession that led to nothing. The only shot on target was Fabian Ruiz's blast at goal that I'm not even sure was an out-and-out strike, more of a powered ball in, hoping for a touch from anyone, whether it's a PSG player or Arsenal player. But putting my brain back to halftime, my thought was, will that Havertz failed attempt come back to haunt them? If anyone could find a way to break through Arsenal eventually, you would trust Enrique and trust PSG. Now, I'd say early doors in the second half, there was maybe a, 10-20% improvement from PSG. Doué and Kvara were a little more mobile, getting in behind with diagonal runs that were harder to track for the midfielders and fullbacks. I still found Dembele, with his decision-making and ability to beat a player in a one-on-one situation, struggling. Hincapié dealt with him pretty easily. Not a good showing from Dembele. However, Mosquera, who was beat in the first half, was beat by Kvara again and was incredibly lucky to only give away a penalty given he was already on a yellow card, and he went right through Kvaratskhelia. Easiest penalty call you'll find, and I stand by it. Very lucky to not get a yellow, and it made a lot of sense that he was subbed directly after. Anyway, Dembele, who had a terrible match to this point, dispatched the penalty really well to equalize. Now, that substitution that we saw was Mosquera off for Timber, who hadn't played since mid-March. Quite the risk from Arteta to go with that, but also an even bigger risk to leave Mosquera out there, because there is no way he would survive making another foul. He'd be off for sure, and PSG would have been targeting him some more. Arsenal improved with their changes, but those changes and the search for a goal naturally stretched the game, opened it up, and that's all that PSG could have asked for, right? Kvara with a run from his own half after Saliba misjudged the ball, but Lewis Skelly with a vital touch to deflect the ball off of the woodwork. That was incredibly close. That could have been PSG 2-1. Arsenal would have their moments though. They would get near the PSG 18, and it felt like they were always just a touch or a slide pass away from getting a clear opportunity. A bit of all hands on deck from PSG defensively at times, who always had either Dembele or someone else hanging around with Saliba and Gabriel. Later it was Barcola, who actually outpaced Saliba, but his touch was a bit heavy. Well read by Raya to come flying out there. But that was the threat that everyone knew would be there once PSG found an equalizer, right? Barcola would be the out ball again with the final kick of the game, and he hit the side netting. As we've spoken of before on the channel, he's such a good player, but his composure around the box is really lacking at times, and it seems like he was losing belief in himself with every touch that he took closer to the goal. So after the 90 minutes, it was all square. Non-penalty XG was 0.77 PSG to 0.35 Arsenal. 2 big chances missed from PSG, 0 from Arsenal, which shows you how few chances there were in this game. Really tight affair. PSG just edging it as far as chances go. Extra time. More changes from Arsenal to complete the change of their entire attack, really. Gyökeres, Madueke, Martinelli, and Eze just behind them. Zubimendi replaced Lewis Skelly, while PSG had to change Gonzalo Ramos for Dembele before the 90 was up. He was injured. Ruiz was later taken out for Warren Zaire-Emery. Now, Arsenal thought they should have had a penalty when Madueke went down in a duel with Nunez. Nothing given. And it was the right call, ultimately, as you can clearly see that Madueke hooked onto Nuno's arm and twisted into him to fish a call as Nuno was recovering well. It looked like he may have been able to beat Madueke to the ball. But shout out to Hincapié, who was playing with one leg in extra time, given Arsenal were out of substitutions. Feel for the guy. Was a bit surprised that he was staying in the back line, as all he could do was really jockey the attacker. If anyone tried to break past him, they would have easily, but Martinelli was doing a great job of helping out, tracking back. Zubimendi would float over as well to back up there. But the final 10 minutes, bit of a drag, weren't they? PSG just kind of passing it around, Arsenal's low block, really having difficulty getting through, as there were 2 or 3 Arsenal players ahead of any given PSG player who had the ball. There was just no chance. Now, if you asked me at the beginning of the game if I would like to see a shootout to decide the Champions League final, I would say hell no. But as this match went on in extra time, you could tell neither team looked up to it. And so as a neutral, let's just go with the drama of a penalty shootout. I won't go through them all. Penalties were good until we got to Eze, who tried that, that Bruno Fernandes, Jorginho crane jump kick thing, trying to outweight the keeper, and he hit it wide. Failed to even hit the goal from the spot. That was followed by Raya making a nice save on Nunez, some more nice penalties, and then Gabriel letting the occasion get to him and hitting a poor one way over the bar. Feel for the guy. That's a really, really bitter pill to swallow, something you will never forget in your entire life. So, PSG are champions again. Like I said, it was a very close game. Like I said in the prediction, I was wrong about PSG being able to win it in regular time. I believe I said 2-1. So not a surprise that it was close. Didn't think it would be this close though. Arsenal was my Hail Mary pick before the season even started to win the Champions League. And they delivered on being an elite team, but they are still falling short in finals. I think that changes next season and they start winning more trophies. The Champions League, I mean, we'll see. Guys, hello, just going through the edit now, and I think one thing that I failed to articulate this because I recorded right after the match, just going through everything right after the match with those feelings still being fresh. While Arsenal was effective, I don't know how far this sort of style is going to take them. As you guys all have seen already, or maybe if you haven't, I'll show you right now, as Opta showed, Arsenal had the lowest possession by a Champions League finalist ever, or at least since records were actually taken in Champions League finals dating back to 2003, 2004. This Arsenal team, lowest possession since 2003, 2004 at the minimum. Even lower than Chelsea versus Bayern in the final. What was that? 2012? That's crazy. To spend this amount of money and to choose to play in this style, a little bit confusing, is a little bit... It's what holds me back from saying that I think they'll win the Champions League next season, because you can see that their playing style is just a cut below the other elite teams. I feel that Bayern would have been able to beat them across two legs as well if they had met them. I feel like they could have beat them in this final as well. PSG, it was difficult, but they did get there in the end. It wasn't even a very good performance from PSG, and they were still able to beat this Arsenal side in the final because Arsenal, after they scored, was just so negative. They were pressing at first, but then after they got that goal, they just sat back, were happy to just not have the ball, as I said, and it looked like it was smart for a time until they conceded. And then you saw the limitations of this Arsenal side. And that is a bit of a worry to spend. They're amongst the top spenders in the entirety of Europe. And all that money gets this kind of playing style where you're relying on long throw-ins, set pieces. It's very like retro football. It's not very forward thinking. And I think that is what ultimately will hold them back. They have the players to play nice football. They do, but they are choosing not to, or Arteta is choosing not to. I just think of if they had a Luis Enrique in charge of them, or if they had a Guardiola or even a Company, for example, what this Arsenal team would look like. Gotta remember that this PSG side is young. They still have miles and miles and miles of mileage in this squad. I think they will do some business in the transfer market this summer, maybe a true backup to Hakimi, maybe a stronger alternative to Dembele through the middle, as Ramos isn't really trusted, it seems, and perhaps a new goalkeeper, as Chevalier will be sent packing. Seems like that transfer was a bit of a bust. We'll see. Safonov did do pretty well though, didn't he? Maybe they get a backup to Safonov. I don't know. But even if they didn't change a thing, they are back-to-back champions of Europe for a reason, something only Real Madrid have been able to accomplish in the history of this game. And that is a massive testament to Luis Enrique, an absolute genius, cementing his place among some of the best managers of all time with 3 Champions League titles now. And all he needed was to let Kylian Mbappe leave. I kid. Kind of. Imagine what Mbappe feels right now. It's madness. You head to Real Madrid to win the Champions League, and the next 2 European titles go to the team you left, becoming the only other club to defend their title. It's just crazy. So while it hurts for Arsenal supporters, you still won the league and started a winning habit, I believe. For PSG, that habit is built in, and we'll see if they can three-peat. Surely not, right? But with this coach and this squad and some reinforcements, it could happen. That's the scary thing about this PSG. So young, and a manager who is committed to the club and building something unbelievable, who is an absolute genius madman. I mean, We'll see. But now, guys, it's time for the World Cup. And like I said, you will be getting videos relentlessly from me prior to the World Cup. I appreciate you guys. Excited to take on the World Cup with you with daily videos there as well. I'll see you in another video tomorrow and the day after that and the day after that. All right? Take care, guys.